is Monday, August 17. Welcome to CGN News. The government of Guyana says that schools will not reopen on September 7 as a result of the coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic. The Education Ministry has been meeting with several stakeholders concerning education delivery and the way forward for the September school term. As a result of those meetings, it was realized that most students have not been academically engaged in a structured manner from March to present. Factors such as the tremendous loss of income of families and the worry of parents, teachers and community leaders were also revealed. The ministry said that all schools shall remain closed to face-to-face teaching for September. However, the plan will be to utilize technology, including the Guyana Learning Channel. Jamaican-born Muslim cleric Sheikh Abdullah el-Faisal, who was extradited to New York last Thursday, was arraigned in Manhattan Supreme Court on Friday and ordered held without bail. El-Faisal had pleaded not guilty to a slew of federal charges that could see him spending the remainder of his life behind bars if convicted. Prosecutors say that el-Faisal encouraged terrorist acts against targets in New York and that he used his religious background and prominence to pervert the Muslim religion to justify the killing of innocent people, the New York Daily News reported. He's also accused of establishing an online presence and acting as a marriage broker for females who wanted to migrate and marry Islamic State members, and also had connections with people interested in joining the terrorist network. He is due back in court in Manhattan in October. Barbadians Friday said a tearful goodbye to their former Prime Minister Professor Owen Arthur following a 2-hour state funeral service at his hometown St. Peter's Parish Church more than 2 weeks after he died from heart complications at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. The CMC reports that 70-year-old Arthur was laid to rest at the Mount Pleasant Memorial Gardens, a 26-acre cemetery in the constituency of St. Peter's, which he represented in Parliament for nearly 4 decades. The body of the former Prime Minister had earlier laid in state at the Parliament buildings on Wednesday and Thursday. The casket, draped with the Barbados flag, was closed according to Arthur's wishes. Arthur, the longest-serving head of government, served as Prime Minister between 1994 and 2008. A spike in COVID-19 cases in Trinidad and Tobago has seen the implementation of a series of new measures by the government in an attempt to curb the spread. The government announced the new measures on Saturday with the warning that it is examining the possibility of introducing legislation that would allow for persons not wearing masks to be fined. Dr. Keith Rowley, Prime Minister, told a news conference that the measures had become necessary as they are now looking at the possibility of a second lockdown of the country if the new measures that are to go into effect from Monday for a 28-day period do not result in a curtailment of the spread of the virus. Luis Rodolfo Abinader has been sworn in as President of the Dominican Republic following his election win last month. The 53-year-old businessman, who had never held elected office, won a 4-year term on July 5, ending a 16-year run in power by a center-left party. He had finished second in the 2016 presidential election. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo was among the attendees at Sunday's swearing-in ceremony in Santo Domingo. His trip came 2 days after the Dominican Republic was the only country on the 15-member UN Security Council to support a U.S. resolution to indefinitely extend an arms embargo against Iran. Overseas now, a ship that has leaked tons of oil off the coast of Mauritius has split apart, authorities said on Saturday. The Japanese-owned ship ran aground in late July and began leaking tons of oil into a pristine Indian Ocean lagoon last week. A massive cleanup operation involving thousands of local volunteers had been underway, but a crack inside the hull of the ship expanded last week, according to the ship's operator, Mitsui O.S.K. Lines, a Japanese company. Tal Harris, a communications coordinator for Greenpeace Africa International, told CNN that authorities have decreed the area a forbidden zone. A former member of parliament in Mauritius also told CNN that one of the ship's 3 oil tanks had already leaked into the ocean and crews were attempting to remove the oil from the other tanks before the ship broke up. It's unclear how much oil was removed before Saturday. Russian President Vladimir Putin has agreed to provide Belarus with security assistance to counter protests if the country requests it. President Alexander Lukashenko made the comment on Saturday evening, several hours after a phone call with Putin and after protesters again demanded that he resign after 26 years in power. The Associated Press said that thousands of demonstrators rallied Saturday at the spot in the capital of Minsk where a protester died last week in clashes with police. Some stripped off their shirts to display deep bruises, they said, came from being beaten by police. It was the 7th consecutive day of large protests against the results of the August 9 presidential election, in which election officials said Lukashenko won a 6th term in office in a landslide. Opposition supporters believe the figures have been manipulated. The United Nations launched a $565 million appeal Friday to help Lebanese people affected by the explosion at Beirut's port with immediate humanitarian assistance and initial recovery efforts. A spokesman said the money will enable the UN's humanitarian partners to help people in need by targeting food, security, health, shelter and protection, as well as water and sanitation hygiene support. UN humanitarian officials said some of the $300 million pledged at a donor conference co-chaired by French President Emmanuel Macron and the United Nations may be committed to the $565 million appeal. The UN Humanitarian Office said the series of devastating explosions August 4 destroyed most of Beirut's port, flattened surrounding neighborhoods, damaged 6 hospitals and more than 20 health clinics. The blast killed over 170 people, injured more than 6,000 and left thousands homeless, it said. A restaurant in central China has apologized for encouraging diners to weigh themselves and then order food accordingly. The policy was introduced after a national campaign against food waste was launched. The beef restaurant in the city of Changsha placed 2 large scales at its entrance this week. It then asked diners to enter their measurements into an app that would then suggest menu items accordingly. Signs reading "Be thrifty and diligent," "Promote empty plates," and "Operation Empty Plate" were pinned up. The policy caused uproar on Chinese social media. Hashtags about the restaurant have been viewed more than 300 million times in the social platform Weibo. The restaurant said it was deeply sorry for its interpretation of the national Clean Plate campaign. Students who attend the Marvelly Primary and Junior High School in St. Andrew, Jamaica, will be presented with a pair of wallabies from Clark's Originals. This was made possible through their collaboration with Jamaican-born football star Raheem Sterling, who is a past student of the school. The United Kingdom shoe brand, which is loved by Jamaicans, made the announcement on their Instagram account last week. Quote, "We sat down with Raheem Sterling to create a very special product inspired by his Jamaican roots. To celebrate the project, we have set up a community partnership with Marvelly Primary and Junior High School in Kingston, Raheem's alma mater. We are also making a pair of brand new wallabies available for all the kids at the school," end quote, the company stated. That's it for CGN News. I'm Scott Wilson. Thanks for watching.